Let's go over to YouTube and see if it thinks we've started the stream. It takes a little while. Yeah, it says upcoming. We have started the stream. Right, I will post that link in the Discord. Welcome to part 3 of the murders at Karloff Manor. Manor. Yeah, I said Manor, and I thought, well, no, that's not right, because Manor, that's M-A-N-A, isn't it? But no, Manor. Murders at Karloff Manor. Set review. Part 3. I don't know how long it's going to be tonight, because I've no idea if we're near the end of the set or not. We got up to R, didn't we? But the cards seem to be very much kind of out of order a bit, only slightly in order. Who knows? Let us head over to Facebook. Oh, it was there. Did you not see it? It was on the screen. And Facebook's like, no, you want to look at lost football grounds and terraces of the United Kingdom. What the fuck do I care about lost football grounds and terraces of the United Kingdom? I know nothing about football. Magic Puzzle Quest. MKM card gallery. Look away from the screen if you think that you will have a bit of a fit, because I'm going to be scrolling a very long way to the end of the list. Is this the best? Maybe this isn't the best way of doing it. Maybe the best way. Oh no, it is going to be the best way of doing it, isn't it? How are we liking the set so far? We've definitely seen a couple of good cards, haven't we? We definitely like the vehicle, the Vault Starter that draws a couple of cards and puts a bunch of mana into a spell. We like that. We liked Rakdos yesterday. I got a bit too excited about Rakdos yesterday. I should have been my normal curmudgeonly self and said that it's too good, because it does seem like it's a bit too good, Rakdos, doesn't it? I'm still going to be playing with it. It's awesome, but I should have been my normal miserable self and said, well, that's just too good, and that means it's bad design. But it's hard to when presented with a card like that. It's just so perfect for me. Control player me. Maybe it's not even too fast. Rakdos might be a bit fast. Long-term followers of my works and doings will of course know that I love Huntmaster of the Fells, but never ever get to play with it because it kills your fucking opponent too quickly in Standard before you get the chance to do your objectives. And I mean, that's not always true, but it is true if the game goes badly. You know, if Greg starts pulling ahead in the game and you need to start taking the game seriously, you can't afford to start shooting your own creatures. And those are those dangerous games where you might lose an objective. Maybe Rakdos will end up like that. Maybe he'll end up with growing too powerfully. I don't know. I don't think so. He is only one creature. You will be able to sack him with the simple addition of a illicit shipment or a cut your losses in your deck. So I doubt it, but I guess that's something to watch out for. Anyway, we love him, and we will be moving on and carrying on with the review. Is anybody in the chat? Not that I remember to check the chat at the moment. I'm sorry, people. I know I don't remember to check the chat. I think it's largely down to the fact that I do these reviews on my tablet now. A year or two ago, I was doing them on my phone, and that's nice and light, and I can wander around the room a lot. My tablet is quite heavy because it's a massive 12-inch tablet. Oh, hi, Madran. He's half here. He's half in the chat. That's good. Massive 12-inch tablet, which is good, which means I can see it without wearing my bloody reading glasses, which I don't really like to wear very much because they're a sign of my impending death. So, as a result, of my massive tablet, I tend to sit on the sofa, which is a long way away from the computer screen, and I have not rearranged when my PS3 dies, I'll have to rearrange my living room, because then I won't be able to use my ancient television then when my PS3 dies, and it's in the process of dying at the moment. It's definitely on its way out, my PS3. It's quite old now. But yes, unfortunately, it does mean at the moment I'm not very good at checking the chat. And let's face it, I was never very good at checking the chat anyway, even when I used to do this on Twitch. Shall we actually read what Rakish Scoundrel does? I don't think it's going to be good, does it? When this creature is revealed, target creature you control gains prevent damage until the beginning of your... I mean, they could have at least given it Defender, couldn't they? And not until end of turn. And maybe just flying and just made it like really... they could have just printed Phyrexian Vindicator instead of this, couldn't they? That's what they could have done. Raucous Theatre. It's another one of those lands. I mean, maybe I'm being harsh on these lands. Maybe converting 4 gens is quite good. Maybe. Yeah, Standard is just in a weird place at the moment. And the lands that I thought I wanted, maybe I don't. And anyway, they're definitely too expensive. A Reasonable Doubt. Drain all mana from the first card in your opponent's hand. Your first creature gains suspect. Have a guess how much you think that costs. Cover up the bit on the screen that says 13 mana. And have a guess how much you think that costs. Considering it's basically worthless. If you were going to make that card, how much would you make it cost? And I want you to know that the correct answer to this question is I would never make this card, Steve. It's fucking terrible. But I mean, come on. 2 mana. 3 mana. You'd make it something like that, wouldn't you? I know they're terrified of making spells that are 2 mana because you might loot them. But that's their own fault for printing Case of the fucking Ransacked Lab, isn't it? You know? Don't never make cheap spells just because you're making combo pieces too good. Give us some fucking cheap spells. And spells that aren't shit as well, like this one is. Reckless Detective. I mean, that's kind of fun to say, Reckless Detective. It's got that whole kind of assonance thing going on in the words there, but it's never going to be as good as Drooling Grudian, is it? Let's face it. At the beginning of your turn, discard a card, enjoy doing the discard a card thing again. Then this creature gets +2/+0 until the end of turn. Nah. Do I even need to say 2/3 at the beginning of your turn? I don't know, destroy the top card of your life. Okay, you know, you're putting a thing into your graveyard, but you know, make it loads better. That's my advice for making that card, is to make it loads better. When this creature is destroyed or exiled, draw a card. I mean, do we like the art? No, we don't even particularly like the art, do we? So, a bit of a washout, that card. Reenact the Crime. Right, let's have a mythic. The last one was good. Exile the top 4 cards of your library. This might go somewhere. Oh, I can see full mana hiding at the end of the card there. Let's go for it. Then exile the first 4 cards from your opponent's graveyard. Okay, so top 4 cards of your library. 4 cards from their graveyard. So you're not exiling their library. Create a copy of the last card in each player's exile in your hand. Those cards gain 4. I mean, for fuck's sake, is that good? Does that literally do what I think it does? You pay 15 mana. You get the choice of the top 4 cards of your library. It does exile it, so you're not going to draw it later, but you know, whatever the fuck. The choice of the top 4 cards in your library. So you're going to pick a really good one, you know? It's probably going to cost a decent amount of mana. You know, you're not going to get forced into copying a spell that only costs 4 mana. But not only do you get to do that for your own deck, you get to do it for your opponent's graveyard as well. Okay, so I mean, maybe you don't want to run it out ASAP. I think you probably fucking do, don't you? I mean, that's... If you run that out straight away, you're probably going to whiff on your opponent, aren't you? So what are the chances that you're going to be upset if you play this as the very first card in the game? Upset, exiling the top 4 cards of your library. Oh, you don't get to choose. I see. You don't get to choose which one it is. Okay. So it's not as boss as I was thinking. I've caught up with everyone. Everyone's been screaming at me. Madran. I think he's the only person in the chat. He's been screaming at me. No, Steve, that's not what it does. Right. The top 4 cards of your library, then the top 4 cards of your opponent's graveyard. And then it's specifically the last card in each player's exile. Those cards gain full mana. What a shame, eh? I mean, it's still okay, isn't it? It's still okay, but, you know, you are going to hit that 4 mana card some of the time. It's going to copy a Demolish some of the time. I don't think it's going to be very good. And of course, Flash. Why the fuck has it got Flash? You're not going to get a card that has Flash, and even if you did, it wouldn't be disabled. It doesn't matter that it's got Flash. It makes no difference that it's got Flash. I'm sure you can all think of some kind of corner case. What a shame. I was prepared to get excited about this card. And do you know what? It wouldn't have even been that broken at 15 mana if you'd have gotten the choice. But you don't. I don't know. I doubt this is a thing. Don't go after this card. I doubt it's a thing the way it's written. It's not a bad card, but I very much doubt it's a thing. Unless there's some clever way you can juggle the cards that you've got in exile, which I highly, highly doubt. You know, you play an illicit shipment and then you can see what those top 4 cards are, but you can't actually rearrange them very well, can you? Maybe a bit of surveil. I don't know. Johnny's, it's over to you. We don't care, Steve. We're all playing with Galta. We're all just kicking everyone's ass with Galta. We don't care about fanning around with deck manipulation. Thanks very much. Oh, okay. The Johnnies have all gone a bit Timmy these days. Relive the past. Return the first 3 cards from your graveyard to your hand. Convert 3 gems to green. That is definitely not enough. Then create 3 Celestia Elemental tokens. Now, they could be fucking anything, couldn't they? Elemental tokens traditionally were 2/2s, weren't they? Zendikar's Royal in Origins were 2/2s. So that might be putting 6 powers worth of creature in play. Returning cards from your graveyard to your hand is kind of nothing. I can't think of any particular brilliant use for doing. I know Seasons Past does it, but there's a big difference between Seasons Past and this card, and it's 17 fucking green gems. That's what the big difference is. You know? So this needed to convert more gems. It might have been a lot more interesting if it had converted more gems. As it stands, even with the creature creation, it looks kind of crap. High shit tier. Is it high shit? No, it's just a 6/6 really. Even mastering cards, you're literally paying 16 mana for a 6/6 creature. Not even high shit tier. Repeat offender. Activate 1, but we're back with the fucking activate 1s. Stop doing the activate 1s. It's good, you get +1/+1 and gain suspect. Okay. Repulsive mutation. At the beginning, it sounds a bit Simic, does it? Yeah, this is the old Simic. I'm a bit, don't tell the Is It Guild this, but I'm a bit of a closet Simic Guild member, really. I'm into the green. I like survival of the fittest decks, really. That's what the green is all about to me. But, you know, in Puzzle Quest, I like a bit of gem conversion as well. Water Veil combo. So don't tell the Is It, because they'll be upset with me. But I think I'm really an undercover Simic agent. The beginning of your turn, if this card is in your hand, increase this card's level by 1. Well, traditionally, these cards never go well, do they? Your first creature gets +X +X. X is this card's level. Then increase the cost of the first cards in your opponent's hand by X. X is the greatest power. X isn't its level anymore. X is now the greatest power among creatures you control. See, I don't... This is what I think they should do with the leveling mechanic, yeah? And not just tie it to the turn number in the game. Don't have it pump up every turn that it's in your hand. Just pump up with the turn number in the game. So, you know, when you cast this spell, your creature gets +X, X is the turn number. And turn number goes up fast, remember, because it goes up once on your turn and once on your opponent's turn. It's written in the battle log. People get the hang of it. You know? But this thing where you have to have the card in your hand to increase its level, it's never worked. And I think they need to be working on systems where the level goes up even without the card in your hand. We've got the experience point system, you know, that Daxos and Kalemny use. That's better than the level system. But you still have to kind of do things to pump it up. I think there should just be a number that increases all the time. And there is, and it's the turn number. Do that thing. Rift Burst Hellion. This has Disguise 8. And it's still too small, isn't it? A 13 mana, a reach that's 6/7 is too small. Come back to me in 2015 when the game was made and tell me if I like a 15 mana, a 13 mana 6/7. 13 mana, well, not quite 13 mana, Steve. You have to kind of faff around with things, you know. But tell me then about a 6/7 with reach. But not anymore. No. Rope! I knew we'd get rope at some point. It's Clue, isn't it? At the beginning of your turn, +1/+2 and reach. Draw a card, blah, blah, blah. Rubblebelt Braggart. When this creature attacks, this creature gains suspect until the beginning of your next turn. I mean, I'm not really feeling the only reason to give something suspect is the flavour, and I'm afraid Puzzle Quest is much worse than paper at generating flavour. Suspect is a bit of a washout in paper, though, to be perfectly honest. Like, it's not particularly flavourful. But collecting evidence, you know, that's naturally got a kind of flavourful thing about it. Going through your graveyard and removing the cards. Unfortunately, we have to exile tokens in this game, which is crap. But collecting evidence is a bit flavourful. But even in paper, Suspect is not particularly flavourful. It just still feels like shadow. It feels like Suspect feels like a way of running around your opponent's cloaked creatures that have wards, so you can't shoot them on turn 3. That's what Suspect feels like in paper. It doesn't feel like, you know, you're laying out the suspects of a crime and then solving the crime. We move on. Runebrand Juggler. Rakdos. When this card enters the battlefield, your first creature gains suspect. Not interesting. Activate 2. Not interesting. You may destroy target creature you control. If that creature has suspect, the first opposing creature gets -5/-1. Yeah, why are you going to use this? Why are you going to use that? How about this, right? This is my redesign of this card. 7 mana, destroy target creature. There you go. Sample Collector. When this creature attacks, collect evidence 1. Target creature gets +1/+1. Very boring, not even shit to see. This is the thing, it's parasitic. Nobody's going to play with this card. Even the people who are going to play with this card, yeah? Anyone who does play the 10 games it takes to master this card, they're not going to bother putting in a deck with fucking simple tokens. Parasitic. This is why you shouldn't make bad mechanics, is because it's too easy to put them on bad cards. You can put a bad mechanic on a good card, but you're probably not going to bother thinking about it, are you, Webcore? Artifact Wall. Disable target opposing creature until the beginning of your next turn. It's not powerful enough, is it? It's an interesting thing that they've tried to do there. I love the flavour of this, that it's a wall that disables things, but the flavour kind of completely ruins the power of the card, because a wall that disables things, things are going to run into it because it's a wall, and it's going to die, and it's going to start disabling things. So I enjoy the flavour of it, but like even if it was a good card, the flavour, it would have destroyed the power level of it, which it doesn't have. It's really disturbed by this activate 2, activate 1 business, you know? Do you think they look back at Descend and think, oh, we did a good job there? Maybe it was a bit too powerful, actually. Sanguine Saviour, Disguise. Target creature gets lifelink until end of turn. I mean, I was immediately going to say, well, why not just give it lifelink? I notice it does actually have lifelink. This is an almighty, all-powerful 11 mana 2/1 lifelink creature. So, okay. Sanitation Automation. I mean, that's what it should be called, shouldn't it? Because then there's a bit of poetry in there. Sanitation Automaton doesn't quite work quite so well, does it? When this creature enters the battlefield, Surveil 1. They do this with Surveil, don't they? Surveil is such a great, powerful mechanic, and they put it on really shit things, don't they? Surveil 1, we've had creatures with Surveil 1 recently before. Yeah, we don't care. We don't care. Scene of the crime. Convert 2 gems to your Planeswalker's colours. There you go. There's a land. It costs 6 mana. It's only 2 gems. That's not enough. Yeah, am I going to say I don't mind this existing? I mean, I suppose I don't. You're not going to mind mastering it that much, are you? I guess in a mono-coloured Planeswalker, it's kind of a Nissa's Pilgrimage. I guess I don't mind it existing. It's not exciting for us, though. It's not what we're here for. Seasoned Consultant. When this creature attacks, if you control 2 or more creature cards, this creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Again, it's just... We should think of a name for this, shouldn't we? You know? A name for the design element where you simplify that. You take one of these cards that they've over-designed and you simplify it and you just go 8 mana 3/3. Moving on. There should be a name for that process. We're going to be thinking of that over the course of the rest of the review. Here is another one of those lands, which we don't need to dwell on because they're the same as the other lands. Disguise 5, when this creature dies, deal 4 damage to any target. I mean, this is... I've played with this in paper, you know? And like... this really goes to show the differences between paper and Puzzle Quest. The point of it in paper is you put it down and it's face down, and your opponent doesn't know what it is, and he cares what it is because he's a human being and not an AI. And when you flip it up, it can block and it dies and it kills something because 4 damage is an amount of mana that matters in paper. All of the design elements here, they all matter in paper, but this is a different game. Sharp-Eyed Rookie. When this creature enters the battlefield, investigate. We've just seen so many of that, haven't we? So when this creature enters the battlefield, investigate, and we don't care. Then if that creature's base power is X or greater. Oh, when a creature enters the battle. Right, it's not even this creature, but it probably triggers itself. Okay, when a creature enters the battlefield, investigate. Then if that creature's base power is X or greater, this creature gets 1/1/1. X is this creature's base power. It's so low power, isn't it? So low power. What are they thinking? I don't know what they're thinking. They think we have to make bad cards to make the good cards look good. I don't think you need to make them quite that bad. Not the rares, mate. Slime against humanity. I get it. Very clever. Create 4 ooze tokens. Then it gets +X/+X. X is the number of ooze cards you control, including their reinforcements, plus the number of humans in all graveyards. I mean, so it looks like we're basically getting an 8/8 for 15 mana. And oozes might get bigger. Who knows? Yeah, if I was making this card, if I was porting this card over from paper, I'd have just made it a creature, because if ooze tokens do something, I don't want to have to tap through, because I can't look at what ooze tokens now, do I? So I would have just made it a creature when I was porting it over. That's just something that I would have done. Slimy Jewel Leech. I don't know what the hell the design of this card is on. They must have been running out of ideas on this day. When this creature attacks, your first creature with base power 2 or less gains death touch until end of turn. Is that relevant? Is it? Fuck! Snarling Gorehound. When a creature with base power 2 or less enters the box. Was this the 2 or less all of a sudden? Did they get bored? Cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste. Or is a reinforced Surveil 1. Ooh. Soul Innovation. When the support enters the board, target creature gets -4/-4 during the turn. When an artifact card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, your opponent loses 3 life. That's good enough for a card, isn't it? There's lots of words on that card. There's about as many words written on this card as there are words on Case of the Ransack Lab. So they're probably about the same power level. Let's move on to the next card. Soul Search. Exile the first card without mana from your opponent's hand. This is a bad mechanic. I mean, I think Octagon introduced this mechanic, and I think Webcore really need to be learning that it's bad and we don't play with it. Then if that card's base cost is 15 or less, create a white and black spirit token. Just awful. Just awful. Steencore Scholar. This is a Mr. Lightning type of guy. When this creature enters a battlefield, discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. You don't like it. When you draw a card during your turn, increases level. Would we like it if you got to choose the cards you discard? Maybe they'd... no, I don't think we would still, would we? We just don't like discarding cards. It's bad. It's really bad. Yeah, discarding and drawing. But even if we got to choose what we were discarding, we still wouldn't like it. Still not a good mechanic. Just ditch the discarding thing altogether. Just draw some cards. I bet if it didn't discard the cards, I bet it'd be fine. If you want cards in the graveyard as well, do some Surveil. That's where you put the Surveil. Put the Surveil here. Don't discard. When you draw a card during your turn, increase its level by 1. Okay. Is this going to be something? At the end of your turn, you gain X mana and X loyalty. X is this card's level. Where's the bit on the Where's the bit on the card that says this card's level becomes 1 at end of turn? They always write that on the end of cards to make them shit. Where I can't see it on this. There must be a misprint of some kind. So when you draw a card during your turn, increase its level by 1. Okay, so you immediately draw 2 cards. We hate the discarding 2 cards, but that's not really an important part of this card. So we draw 2 cards, we increase its level by 1 to 3. And then at the end of the turn, you get 3 mana and 3 loyalty. This could be a bit of a sleeper, couldn't it? I mean, it's quite easy drawing cards, isn't it? Throw in a Day's Undoing or a Time Reversal. Very easy to draw 6 cards in a turn. And, you know, for those first few turns, gaining 3 mana and gaining 6 mana, maybe not so interesting. But maybe gaining 3 loyalty and 6 loyalty is interesting. And maybe after a few turns... maybe gaining 18 loyalty every turn is good. It does do that, doesn't it? Are you sure shouting at me again, saying, no, it doesn't do that, Steve? It's like that other blue card you were looking at earlier. When you draw a card during your turn, yeah, that's fine. Increase its level by 1. At the end of your turn, you gain X mana and X loyalty. X is this card's level. Maybe. I mean... I still don't like it as much as Ren and 6. You know, when I'm converting a lot of gems with Ren and 6, I'm probably not even getting as much loyalty as this thing gets. But I am getting more mana, more faster than this thing does. It's kind of okay, isn't it? And it's the loyalty that makes me intrigued by it. It's a bit weak, isn't it, as a 2/2. It's nice of them to give it vigilance and not defender, isn't it? What a great piece of design that was. Thanks very much for that. That really matters, doesn't it? It can block a 1/1. How exciting. You can block a flying 1/1. How exciting is that? But yeah, gaining the loyalty, kind of interesting there. I think there might be some people playing with this one and liking it. I'm not sure I do, though. Draw 2, discard 2 cards, draw 2 cards. What do I like about playing this turn? It doesn't seem interesting enough to play it turn 1. Do you know how I discard cards and draw cards? I do it with time reversal, and that gets you a hell of a lot more mana, a hell of a lot more quickly. That's the thing. I don't mind this card. It's not great. It's okay, though. I don't mind it. Somala Sentry. When a creature you control is revealed, that creature gets +1/1, then this creature gets +1. I mean, it could have just been a larger creature in the first place, couldn't it? Surveillance Monitor. Now, is he the monitor and he is surveilling, or is he looking at somebody else on the surveillance? Is it like a computer monitor? Yeah? And it's a noun descriptive of an item, or is it his job description? That inquiring minds want to know these things. When this creature enters the battlefield, collect evidence 2. If evidence was collected, create 4 Thopter tokens. No. No. Collect evidence had to be good, didn't it? They had to make the effects good, and they've forgotten to do that. They've forgotten to make the effects good. If the mechanic is bad, the effects have to be good. They've forgotten to do that. I mean, for God's sake, we had somebody yesterday, and okay, I know it was rare, and this is uncommon, and all uncommons have to be absolute fucking garbage. It's the law. But we had someone yesterday who every time you cast a spell, put 4 tokens into play, and then all of your creatures gained lifelink for the turn. Yeah? So they know how to make powerful effects, but it just goes out of their brain when they put it onto a bad mechanic for some reason. This is a bad mechanic, we better give it a bad effect. That's called synergy. When you put a bad effect onto a bad mechanic, it's called synergy. We're good game designers. This is a 15 mana 2/3, and I'm gonna just lay it out there right from the beginning. I reckon this is going to be another one of those terrible sigilled starfish we've seen so many of in this set. At the beginning of your turn, collect evidence 1. If evidence was collected, this creature gets +1/+2. Then this creature gains vigilance and gains a detective subtype. Let's bear in mind that Rakdos, who was 6/6, is getting 6/6 every turn. This is getting +1/+2 if it has a simple token to blow up. But there is more. Collect evidence 1 at the end of your turn. It's already collected evidence 1 at the start of your turn. But we'll assume you're playing with some great card that puts loads of... You know all those great cards that we all play with all the time that put loads of simple tokens into play? All of those great cards. You can remember the names of those great cards, don't you? All the great cards that you play that put loads of food tokens. All the great cards that you play with. You know the great cards, yeah? We're all playing with those all the time. We're all... Standard is just swimming in simple tokens all the time. And this is just tapping into those great cards that we all play anyway, all the time, at the moment, already, with simple tokens. At the end of your turn, collect evidence 1. If evidence was collected, and this card has a detective subtype. Okay, so it turns into a thing. I don't think we get to know what the thing is. Maliva the Stalwart. No, we don't get to know what the thing is. So I'm probably entirely wrong about it being a bad sigilled starfish, because it turns into a thing. Let's imagine what the thing is that it might turn into that would make it a good card. It's Rakdos, isn't it? That's what it needs to look like. And even if it did turn into Rakdos, we'd all be playing with Rakdos, wouldn't we? So, I mean, I don't know, but a 15 mana 2/3 that gets big very slowly, and then any work you've put into making it get big is destroyed by it turning into a token. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not destroyed by a token. Maybe any buffs it had, maybe it carries over. Who knows? Anyway, we don't know what it does, and I bet I hate it. Taser! Hello, Taser. You zap people with tasers, don't you? I've never thought of that before, that taser's named after an implement of an electronic tasering people device. Opulent oligarch. Oh, right, she's the person who died. We've seen this very costume on a dead body and indeed a ghost, haven't we, on other cars? So it's Taser who has died. She looks like she's cosplaying herself, doesn't she? That is a very extravagant, one might say opulent outfit. At the end of your turn, investigate. Okay, well, 10 mana, 2/3. Yeah, that's better than some of the other bad sigilled starfishes we've seen. When a simple token you control is destroyed, create a white and black spirit. Who can think of another card that creates tokens and draws cards? Anyone think of another card that does that? I like it quite a lot, whatever that card is. This is very low power, and we don't care. The chase is on. I like the chase. Do you watch the chase? Bradley Walsh. It's good. I like the Vixen. Of course I like the Vixen. But I don't really like the Beast. He's too good, isn't he? I don't know the Menace at all. Do you have the chase in other countries? I imagine the chase has been a worldwide success. When we did the Weakest Link, we sent that all around the world and everyone really liked that. So I imagine everyone's watching the chase. But I've never actually heard of an American version of the chase. Maybe you just don't like brainy quiz shows over there. Target creature you control gets +3, +0 on first strike till end of turn, then investigate. I mean, okay, fine. Fine. This is actually a slightly better version of a million other terrible cards that nobody has ever played with in their entire life. So fine. Okay, at least it's not a worse version. Let's give them that much. Pride of Hull Clay. Now this is in fact a 2/15 defender in paper. So naturally, they haven't changed the numbers. Is this a thing? Is this a thing that Webcore do, is not changing the power and toughness of things? Burnham were right on that, weren't they? They were right on that. Well, okay, we're going to make the uncommons 2/2s, but we're going to make the rares 4/4s, and we're going to make the mythics 6/6s and 8/8s. They were all over that shit. We have to pump up the powers and toughnesses. Maybe Webcore don't know you have to do that. 2/15 on its own is not good, is it? You know? As I may have said yesterday, in fact, I kind of like the idea of a defender that just has an enormous amount of health, but 2 2 is not a good number. You know, 2 doesn't kill the creatures that it's blocking, and it doesn't go any significant way to killing your opponent. At the beginning, so it's like 6. How about 6/30? How about that? Make it like a 6/30 creature. At the beginning of your turn, if this card is in your hand, reduce its cost by X. Right, so clearly it costs too much. X is the sum of your creature's base toughness. Not even their just plain old toughness. At the beginning of combat on your turn, this creature gets +X/+X. X is this creature's toughness. Oh, okay. More for me. It's all very well saying it's only a 2/15. It's not, actually. It's a 17/15, isn't it? But only when it attacks. Then it fights the first opposing card. I mean, this is a weird creature, isn't it? Because yes, on your opponent's turn, it is a 2/15. Your opponent's creatures smack into it and it does them 2 damage. But then it wakes up again on your turn and it's like, it's just one more thing, sir. In a very Columbo kind of way. And it smacks them in the face. And then probably dies because they've already done a bunch of damage to it on your turn when it was only a 2/15. And now, even though it's woken up and it's bigger, but I mean, I suppose it does this the turn it comes into play, doesn't it? I shouldn't be taking this card seriously. Everything I'm going to say about this card now, I'm just going to say, well, just play some more Galters in your day. So it's a 215 for 23 mana. You're going to play it. Let's assume you can play it more cheaply than that. Whatever. You put it into play. Combat happens. It immediately becomes a 1730. Yeah, it's not going to attack straight away, but it's going to attack with 17 damage on all other turns. Oh, right, plus X, plus X. Okay. Then it fights the first opposing creature. I mean, that's not bad removal, is it, to be perfectly honest? As a 1730, fighting your opponent's first creature, it will kill a Gelter, although not two Gelter, and those things do tend to hang around in multiples of more than one. And then the damage that it takes, you know, it might that might only come out of the plus 15 health that it got. So it's okay, apart from the 23 cost, which is too much. You know, if you're going to be making it cheaper than that, then you've already got a decent amount of power and toughness on the table. You don't particularly need it, I don't think. You know, I guess, I guess. No, I don't like it, you know. Gelter doesn't kill things. This is the thing. You can't just say Gelter is better, even though it is. Because Gelter doesn't kill things, you know. And Rakdos doesn't defend against things, even though it kills things a lot better. It's the 23 mana's the too much. I love the idea of having this in play and eating my opponent's stuff. If it happens to be big enough to eat their own stuff, which it probably will be, but crucially might not be. I love the idea of having it in play. I don't really fancy playing it. And yeah, if I'm going to use a Thunderous Debut, I am going to go and get a Galter. Sorry, I'm not going to get one of these. You know, and if I want a creature that's going to, you know, eat my opponent's stuff, I've already got a deck like that. I use Cityscape Leveler and Gelter. Thank you very much. That's what I use alongside my Blossoming Tortoise. They went this way. Fetch two land supports from your library, then investigate. Just awful. I mean, you can't win with lands. Go fucking crazy. Put them into play. For 10 mana, put them into play. Why not? You can't win with lands. Make lands good again. Gonna get some baseball caps printed. Thinking Cap. Now, I seem to remember there was some other card summoning a Thinking Cap, wasn't there? And we were supposed to be remembering what that was, but I've forgotten. First creature plus one plus 2 in the detective subtype for 11 mana. I mean, okay, fair enough. It probably exists as a token. For something else to fetch, you're not going to actually play it, are you? But why would you care? Why would you care? There's another one of those lands. Tin Streak Gossip. When this creature enters the battlefield, converts 6 gems to red or green. Blatantly not enough. Is it? Well, it's only green, isn't it? Green, traditionally not the colour of gem conversion. Nobody cares about converting gems in green. So it has to be bad. This card definitely has to be worse than Cut Your Losses, because blue, by law, has to be the best colour at literally everything. Not powerful enough. The end. Would it be powerful enough if it was just 6 gems to green? I mean, probably not. Probably not, no. In the past, we've played with Elvish Visionaries in the past, haven't we? We've played with that 1/1 green creature that converted 3 gems. But that was 7 years ago, and we didn't like playing with it. We were always waiting for something better to be printed. We played with it because there were literally no alternatives. This is a 20 mana 3/2. Create a Voja Fenstalker token. I have a feeling that's going to be 4/4. We've seen Tolsimir before, haven't we? We've had other versions of Tolsimir, maybe in this very game, certainly in paper. And he creates a wolf token called Voja. I suspect that token's going to be a 4/4. Your wolf creature's going Berserker. When a wolf creature you control attacks for the first time during your turn, reinforce this creature. Now, I've got to admit this. I hate bravery, but if they've given the wolf token bravery, I'm going to just give them a little tiny round of applause. Just a little tiny round of applause. They could have just given it vigilance if they wanted it to attack first. That would be a better way of doing it, rather than this fanning around with fucking bravery bollocks that I hate. But if they have given it bravery, I'm going to give them the world's tiniest round of applause. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? It's the world's tiniest round of applause, if that's what they've done, which I'm almost certain they've forgotten. But for a 20 mana 3/2, even a 20 mana 3/2 that reinforces itself, that token needs to be big, doesn't it? Do we like this card if that token is a 10/10? It definitely isn't a 10/10. But if that token is a 10/10 and it lifelink, all right, maybe we like it if it's 10/10 and it lifelink. No, we don't even like it then. No. You can't be playing 20 mana for a creature that doesn't really do anything before your opponent gets the chance to shoot it. You just can't be doing that. Topiary Panther. Sure, we've had Topiary something before. Convert 3 gems to the least present colour on the board. Well, I mean, that's quite... It's overpowered for a common, isn't it? Which is to say, utterly shit. You know? You might even go as far as to call that... That's not high shit tier. High shit tier needs to be better than that. But it's mid shit tier. This is, one of the better crap cards that you're mastering. At the beginning of your turn, investigate. I mean, okay, look, here we go. We were saying yesterday, Tamiyo's Journal, weren't we? Is this a Tamiyo's Journal? It's a 4 mana support that investigates every turn. Maybe it is. And there's more. It is red, so you can't put it in everything like you used to do with that. But there's more. Then increase this card's level by 1. When a source you control deals damage to your opponent's planeswalker, deal 2 times X damage to your opponent's planeswalker. X is this card. They've done it again, haven't they? They've left off the thing that says take this card's level down to 1 again. So this just kind of sits... I mean, this is okay, isn't it? It's difficult to get very excited about this card. It's a bit balanced, but it's nice and cheap. You know? Madren says in the chat, he says, I quite like the torch, and I quite like the torch. Yeah, I've been saying I play with Curse of Surveillance every so often, and that's just a 3 mana card that draws a card every turn. This is a 4 mana card, draws a card every turn. Pumps out some extra damage as well. I mean, it doesn't... Yeah, no, Investigate isn't quite a card every turn, but it's mostly a card every turn. That's not bad. There are better ways of drawing cards. But this is okay. This is an okay card. I don't mind it. Toxin Analyst. Your first creature gets Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn, then Investigate. Why not just permanently? Why not just permanently get those things? Trostani, 3 Whispers. Activate 5 green or... Now we're talking! Activate 5 is okay. This is still not great. We don't really like Activate 5. But it's better than Activate 1. It's 4 better than Activate 1. It's 3 better than Activate 2. It's 2 better than Activate 3. And it's 1 better than Activate 4. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Your creatures get Death Touch, Lifelink, and Double Strike until end of turn. Then all your creatures get +2/+1. And this looks very high shit tier to me. Doesn't it? So 5 green or white. Death Touch is largely irrelevant, but Lifelink, Double Strike, and getting pumped. It's all your creatures get Death Touch, Lifelink, and Double Strike. You know, you can even... If you want, you can even say, well, you'll kill defenders with that, won't you? With Death Touch and Double Strike, you'll kill defenders with that. We have seen before, haven't we? First striking, berserking, Death Touchers. There should be more of those things. They should try and do more with Death Touch rather than just write it on things. So, I mean, this is definitely high shit tier. At the very least. And And yeah, it pumps out quite a bit of damage. It's not hard to combine this with... You're probably going to want to put something in your deck that converts some gems anyway. You know, if you pop multiple gems in a turn, you get that +2/+1 each time. All of your creatures. Double striker, it's okay. I'm cold on it because of the activate. But this is a pretty decent card, to be honest. Yeah, we'll go that far. It's mean of me, isn't it, to say what it is, right? When I looked at Axolotl, yeah, and I immediately said he was high shit tier. That was probably a bit mean. I have said this in the past, actually. He's god shit tier. He's not high shit tier. That's what this is. This is god shit tier. Yeah. I'm desperate not to put everything into the high shit tier category, and sometimes I'm nicer to creatures than I should be. It's okay. Don't mind it. Probably not going to play with it. While on the board, your opponent can't gain extra swaps. I mean, it's going to have to do a lot more than that, isn't it? There really aren't a lot of ways of doing extra swaps, and he's not good at picking them himself out when they're just there on the board. He's always leaving them for us to get, isn't he? There's going to have to be a lot more on this card. When your first creature blocks or becomes blocked, the first creature card in your hand gains full mana. Now, we like full mana. We do have to have a creature in play already. It's going to have to block or become blocked. And that's not a thing that happens all the time. I mean, yes, you can play with a defender, but there are better ways of putting full mana into a thing in this set than having to play with a defender. What's the best defender in Standard right now? Anyone? What's the best defender? The best card with a defensive ability? Rem Carolus, when you give it Vigilance. That's what you're all going to say, isn't it? Phyrexian Vindicator, there you go. It is white. I mean, that's cost 17. Doesn't that cost 17 mana and this costs 18 mana? Do you see my problem here? Do you see my problem? Even though this says full mana, I'm not liking it. Then draw a card. When your opponent casts their second card in a turn, the first spell card in your hand gains flash. When your opponent activates a loyalty ability or a vanguard ability, gain 15 loyalty. I mean, there's a lot going on here, and not everything that's on this card is bad. This is not one of those charms that we saw yesterday that had a bit of everything and everything was rubbish. You know, a bit of gaining life here and there, a bit of exiling a couple of cards from the graveyard here and there. There are things on here. Gaining full mana is definitely a thing. Gain 15 loyalty. I mean, they really haven't understood the flash thing, have they? What's the point of that? I mean, they never... I get it. They must be like Hibernum. They probably design cards in 20 minutes or less. You know, I'm sure they never stop to think to themselves, why would you ever want to do that? But let's do that now. Let's do it for them. Why would you ever want to have a card to gain flash as your opponent is going off? I mean, is the world... Is the, you know, the anti-combo card, does that have... I thought that had flash anyway. Does it not have... It doesn't have flash anyway, does it? The anti-combo card. Every time your opponent is converting gems, it gets more and more powerful, and then you shoot them on the next turn. It doesn't have flash, does it? But I mean, I'm not sure I really care. I'm not sure I want to play with this very, very expensive card. Imagine playing in Legacy, and you're like... On my turn, I'm going to fill this card with some mana. And your opponent goes, oh, okay, I'm going to play a Prism Array. And then you're going to go, on my turn, I'm going to put some more mana into this card. I'll nearly cast it now. And then you'll see, And then your opponent goes, oh, okay, I'm going to play a Seasons Past and a Path of, I can't remember what the thing, what's the 11 mana one called? And a Riska's Expertise and a Barrel and then just loads of mana conversion. I'm going to fucking kill you on turn 2! It's way too expensive to really care about the reflective damage spell, you know, that I can't remember the name of what it's called. I don't see the point of the flash clause. That's what I'm saying. Someone explain it to me. Yeah, the creature gaining full mana, it's just tied to much too narrow a clause. The opponent gaining extra swaps, well, I'm afraid to say a lot of people who combo don't do that. If they think that everybody who combos gains extra swaps, a lot of people who combo don't do that. So we're left with a bit that I like, gaining 15 loyalty when your opponent uses a loyalty or a vanguard ability, but that's not worth 18 mana. And it's not part of this kind of weird anti-combo package. It's like they've tried to build an anti-combo card without understanding anything about combo decks at all, isn't it? If this card sees any play at all, I will make up a creative forfeit for myself. I know I should have actually done that and told you what it was, but I can't be asked. It's not going to see play. Tunnel Tipster. When this creature attacks, you can describe your Tipster as well. Activate 1 3 mana. Yeah, okay. Did everyone get that? I was thinking earlier whether my mate Brisk Fabry, the Star Wars character, Fabrizio, we all know his real name. He was saying he doesn't really have the time to watch my set reviews because they're all 6 hours long. And, you know, that's a fair point. So I was thinking maybe you could just listen to them as a podcast. Because I do actually read out a lot of the cards, but let's face it, I am a bit vague. And Tunnel Tipster is a prime example of how I've been a bit vague. What have we got going on here? This is interesting. Return target creature to its owner's hand. It's got flash! Oh, I've been waiting for one of these for so long. You don't know how long I've been waiting for one of these. Surveil 1, yeah, whatever. I mean, yeah, I'll take it. Being able to get rid of something with flash is for me an important part of the arsenal of control. When I'm putting together an arsenal of control cards, being able to get rid of something with flash is an important part of it. And playing Ral, he's just not had anything since Depart the Realm. Yes, Depart the Realm, it was good. Depart the Realm was a good card. I did used to play with Depart the Realm. It was like the one foretold card that was any use at all outside of Doomscar Claimants. And the reason for that was because they only made it foretell 1. So you actually could blow up the fucking support and get the support card. But yeah, I'm not saying this is high power, but it does do a thing that I like to do in my decks and I've not been able to do for quite some time. I mean, people have been playing with things like Kill Shot in white, you know? You'll understand out there how important flash might be, because you never know when a massive hasty thing might be coming at you. So I'm very happy to see this, even though this is not a particularly powerful version of this card, but I'm happy to see it. Undercity Eliminator. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may destroy target creature you control. If you do, exile the first creature. It's a creature destruction spell. I mean, I guess I don't mind. It's just, you could say that this is a 7 mana removal spell, isn't it? Because you can destroy a creature that you control. You can destroy this creature when you play. You don't have to have anything else in play. And it exiles the first opposing creature. It costs 7 mana. It's untargeted removal. And you always have the possibility of destroying something else you have in play. I don't know if that's going to be at all relevant, but this is an untargeted creature removal spell for 7 mana, and as such, I'm quite happy with it. And it's common as well. This must be, they must have just forgotten to make this absolute shit. Oh yeah, sorry Steve, it's supposed to cost 27 mana. Sorry, it's common, yeah? Yeah, it's supposed to cost 27 mana. We got mixed up there. Here is another one of the lands. Here is an undercover crocodile. Okay, it's a crocodile. So we're there again, aren't we? 5 mana to put it face down, and 8 mana to turn it up. It's 13 mana. I'm being mean. This is actually quite a good version of a sigilled starfish, isn't it? Even though it's going to cost you about 15 mana to flip it up, it actually is, if you just play the damn thing, and why wouldn't you, a 9 mana 5/5 that doesn't investigate every turn. So yeah, these are all of those sigilled starfish we've had in the past. This is what they all should have been. Yeah? Wasn't there one in Shadows over Innistrad that was like 5 mana? I seem to remember that there was a guy who investigated that was like 5 mana when it attacked. It flipped as well and was irritating, and I stopped using it because it was irritating. But, and you know, and those were in the olden days when I used to play with sigilled starfish quite a lot. So, yeah, so, you know, I don't mind this. This is what all of those bad sigilled starfish they've been making should have been, is a good sigilled starfish. Sigilled starfish, though, still not a great card. I do play with it in Seize the Day, frankly, because I want to draw a lot of cards, and because there are creature objectives that make me play with creatures with about those attributes. But that is the only place I play with sigilled starfish. But I don't mind undercover crocodile, and it has a good name, even though apparently I can't say it. Here is another one of those lands. Oh, there are 10 of them. They've made 10 of these lands. That's a bit boring, isn't it? I'm sure that they've done that. They've taken that from paper. But it might have been nice if, you know, the lands were a bit different and they weren't all just investigate and convert some things. It also might have been nice if they were better. Unscrupulous agent. We must be getting to the end now. If we're at the U's, we must be getting to the end now. When this creature enters the battlefield, exile the first card without mana from your opponent's hand. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Nobody cares. When this creature is revealed, exile target creature. At the beginning of your turn, gain 3 loyalty. I mean, it's got to be said, this is another prime example of us not caring about disguise. Yeah? Yes, you can play it face down. You can flip it up later in the game to take Greg by surprise, but who fucking cares? This should have just been a creature that you play, and it exiles target creature, and it gains 3 loyalty every turn. That said, I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? I'll be honest, when I play a removal spell, I want it to be cheap. The most important thing it's going to do is remove the thing I want it to remove. And if I rip it off the top of the deck, I want to play it in a single turn. So even though the 3 loyalties are a really nice little extra on the card, the important thing is the card being... Well, in fact, you can't even do this, can you? Because I'm talking about my card that I designed, that when you play it, exiles a creature. This thing does not even exile a creature when you play it. If you rip this off of the top of the deck, you cannot immediately exile a card. You have to play it face down and then wait till next turn and flip it over to exile something. So I don't like it. I do like the way that it's got that little loyalty rider on. Let's see that on some more cards. They've started printing quite a lot of that, haven't they? I mean, the destroy all creatures with 10 loyalty, that seems very boss. You know, and I didn't mind that guy we had earlier who was gaining X every turn and gaining a lot of loyalty like that. But yeah, little riders on cards. Let's do it. I mean, look, destroy target creature is such a basic good card that you could make. You can make all kinds of versions of that. For every mechanic there is in the game, you can make a good removal spell and put that on it. You know, you can make an Artificer's Epiphany for every mechanic in the game. Why don't they just do those things? And then, on top of the mechanics, there's the little things like this, like gaining 3 loyalty. I like it. Glimmers of thinking about what you're doing there. Urgent necropsy. Okay. Destroy the first opposing creature for 12. If evidence was collected, destroy all opposing cards. That's a lot, isn't it? Okay. If there was a card that was going to make me like collect evidence, it would probably be this one. Yeah? That's clearly too expensive for a single creature removal, yeah? But at least it does that. At least it does that thing where if you can't collect the evidence, you can play the card and get a good effect. That is a really good effect. Destroy the first opposing creature. It's a bit expensive. Destroy all opposing cards, even though it's not going to be vanguards. Clearly, fucking great. And that's killing all lands as well. None of this fucking non-land bollocks that we had to put up with on Ruinous Ultimatum and River's Rebuke. All things. So, if there is a card that's going to make me like collect evidence, it's this one. Do I like this card? I don't know. I don't think so. And the reason is that none of the really good cards that I like are cards that I want to play. When I build a deck, yes, I'm looking for synergy, but all of the cards that I put into a deck, they all have to be good. I'm sorry, even that torch, we were talking about the torch earlier, and it costs 4 and you investigate every single turn and it pumps up some damage and it's quite a nice card and everything, but it's not a Teferi Hero of Dominaria, and it's not a Ren and 6, and it's not a Time Reversal, and it's not a Broker's Charm, and it's not a Maestro's Charm, and it's not a Void Rend, and it's not a Rakdos. Do you know what I mean? I want to play with as many good cards in a deck as possible, and I'm afraid good trumps utility, and if I have to go looking for utility cards that create simple tokens, they're generally shit. They're generally a lot shitter than the cards. So I don't know. It just depends on whether they just happen to print a good card that makes simple tokens. I will be looking out for this card because I like destroying all opposing cards. That is nuts as an effect for 12 mana. But it may as well cost fucking 25 mana because you have to find some simple tokens from somewhere. Keep an eye out on it. If simple tokens are all over standard, I take it back. I take back everything I've said. I've not seen I've not seen the cards that are going to make everyone just suddenly stop playing Galta and Blossoming Tortoise and Blade Core Serpent and Bloodthirsty Adversary and Hero of Dominaria. You know what I mean? I've not seen the cards that are going to make everyone just stop playing with those because they have simple tokens on them. I've seen plenty of good cards in this set. They don't have simple tokens on them either. Vanifar, Evolved Enigma. We're back with the Simics. Elf Ooze Wizard, my favourite type of wizard. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control another creature with power base, power 5 or greater, right, bit rubbish, reinforce this creature 2 times, then reinforce each creature you control. I mean, you know I'm going to hate this creature. Anything that just says that, yeah? Anything that says, look, you've got a creature, you've got to have another creature, and they all just get bigger in some kind of way. I hate stuff like that. Goz, I imagine, will find some reason to lie. I think even he's going to accept that this is not the most powerful version of this card that just goes, well, you've got this, and you've got this, and now everything's just going to get bigger. It's not the best version of this card, but maybe one week, if he's short of content, he'll pull this one out of his file and go, yeah, go on, I'll build around this card. It'll make an interesting video, even if it's not a tier 1 card. Moving on. Vein Ripper. When this creature becomes the target of a... Oh, this doesn't sound good, does it? The target of a spell your opponent controls, destroy the last opposing creature. Just not good enough as a clause, is it? Do you want to know a mythic that costs 16 mana? Yeah? That's just going to fucking destroy a creature every turn. Yeah? And is bigger than 6/5 and gets a lot bigger than 6/5 every turn. Answers on a postcard. When a creature dies or loses a reinforcement, your opponent loses 6 life and you gain 6 life. This effect can trigger 5 times a turn. Well, that's really generous of you. 5 times a turn. Thank you for letting that effect trigger 5 times a turn. That's going to be very relevant. I imagine I'm going to run up against that limit a lot. Actually, in fact, I'm probably going to be really annoyed because I'm killing so many creatures. I'm always losing 5 reinforcements in a turn. Yeah? I'm going to be like, oh no, I've lost a 6th reinforcement and now I can't deal an extra 6 points of damage. Extremely high shit tier and just too narrow. Learn what things happen in play. Try playing your own game, Webcore. Try doing that. Don't just read Octagon's cards and think, oh, well, they thought that those things must happen in the game, so we'll assume that they happen in the game. No, Octagon had no idea what was going on. Well, I was talking earlier on the Discord, and to my man SG, Summon Ghost, hello out there. And I won't engage him in conversation just now because he's a very, very slow typist. I have to concede that I do think that one thing that Webcore can do in this game is they know when to take a mythic and make it really powerful for the spoiler season. Anything that Octagon made powerful, I think they made powerful by mistake. And I think that Webcore are better than Octagon in that they can make things powerful on purpose. But I do think they're still copying Octagon's mistakes. This would be an example of one of them. I don't mind that picture though, that's okay. Vengeful Creeper. When this creature is revealed, destroy an opposing non-Vanguard support. Yeah, there's no reason to play that over Conclave Naturalist, is there? Or my ace creature that I invented yesterday when I forgot that Conclave Naturalist exists. Do you remember that? The 4-mana 4/4 that did a demolish? That was a great creature. Let's have one of those. No reason to play this. When an artifact support you control is destroyed, deal 2 damage to your opponent's Planeswalker. Yes, whatevs. V2 Ghazi Inspector. When it enters a battlefield, collect evidence 1. Say it with me now. 7 mana 4/6 with reach. That's alright, isn't it? Is that broken? No? Make that then. And that's it! That is the last card. What do we think of the set? Well, I hate a lot of the design work in this set. It must be said there are definitely some cards. But I don't think, looking back at it, I don't think it's going to rival Streets of New Capenna for being the best set in Standard. That said, I distinctly remember when I did my review of Streets of New Capenna, and I believe my review of Streets of New Capenna was, this set is all shit apart from Endless Detour and Voidrend. I think that's probably what I said about it. Time has proved me very wrong on that front, hasn't it? You know, Meeting of the Five was actually one of those cards. You know, I was saying yesterday how, like, you know, I always say, well, we don't know if they're going to be the right cards for this. This card fetches these specific types of cards and we don't know if they're going to be the right cards for that. And they always turn out to be crap. Yeah, Meeting of the Five was one of those times where that card did not turn out to be crap. It actually turned out to be really fucking awesome. Everybody likes Meeting of the Five. The Johnnies, the Timmies, the Spikes, they all like Meeting of the Five. Maybe even the Vorthoses like it, yeah, because it reminds them of that one episode of The Office where the 5 families get together. But, yes, we've seen some good cards. And just a lot of really piss-poor design work. I mean, you could say there's nothing as bad as Recruit, and you could say that there's nothing as bad as the tap symbol, but I think maybe there is. I think Simple is probably going to go down in history as one of the ugliest pieces of design. What, as bad as the tap symbol, Steve? Well, maybe, actually, yeah. It's pretty fucking ugly, isn't it? And there's no reason for it. But there are some chase cards, which will probably be exclusives. It was pointed out to me yesterday when I was raving over a few cards, including Rakdos. Yeah, they'll probably be the exclusives then, and you probably have to pay cash money for them, so you can't get them. And we've learned as well now, haven't we? We've learned that if they make alt art versions of the exclusives, because I was looking out for Molten Collapse, don't you forget it. They didn't forget that was an exclusive and give us the alt art version early on. They only gave us the alt art version of Molten Collapse like last week, so you don't get these things early. There are a few chase cards. There are a few genuinely good cards. The Ransack Lab is possibly gonna, revitalize the whole aspect of combo. Is that going to get people playing combo? I don't know. I mean, I don't really think it's as good as Wizard Class, is it? I'm not sure that it's a combo card that's too good, but I'm not sure that it's going to make everybody say I'm going to start playing combo now, in the same way that Danibos did. Anyway, did you like my set review? Let me know in the comments, like and subscribe and all of that stuff that people say, yeah. Thank you for coming in, and I will speak to you all again, no doubt, in 3 months' time or so, when the next set, which is... insert name of next set here during edit, comes out, yeah? Alright, take care, peeps, and I'll speak to you all soon. We're going to Streamlabs, don't we? That's it.